largest deserts of Central Australia mean that the vast majority of the population live on the shores. That's because the middle bit of Australia, I think, is just super dry. It's like really hard to live there, and yeah, I think the beach lifestyle does sound a lot nicer anyway. I've been told like it can be more dangerous in the outback just because of like all the animals and stuff, like the poisonous spiders and snakes. I don't really know, but again, I feel like some of these things you hear about Australia are definitely myths, so I am excited to see which are like true and which are just made up. Tasmania has the cleanest air in the world. So Tasmania is a little island, it's not very little, but it's just south of Melbourne. So I didn't know that it's actually a part of Australia. I thought it was its own place, but it is in the country of Australia. But it's actually a 3-hour flight. I looked from Melbourne to somewhere in Tasmania. It takes 3 hours to fly there, which is crazy because on the maps they make it look like such a small distance, but it's actually really far in comparison to where like the distance between, say, the UK and Spain on the map. They make that look bigger, even though that is also a 3-hour flight. I do really want to go to Tasmania. I think it looks really cool. It's really like a tropical outdoorsy. There's so much to see, and like apparently there's loads of hiking and really beautiful scenery, so I would really like to go, but I don't know what I'm going to be able to fit in this trip, so we will see. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest ecosystem in the world. I have known about the Great Barrier Reef for a while. I feel like it's something you learn about at school here. It looks absolutely gorgeous, all the photos of it, and it's really cool that they have that. And as a vegan myself, I am very into ecosystems and animals and nature, so I would be really, really interested to go and see this, so I think I will put that on my list. Australia has over 60 separate wine regions. The majority of the wine regions are in New South Wales and Victoria. So yeah, they're a really big exporter of wines, it turns out. I didn't know this, although thinking about it now, I do often see in the shops and stuff Australia written on the bottles of a lot of the white wine and rosé and stuff that I buy. I don't buy red wine, so I don't like it yet. I'm not mature enough for it yet, but that would be really cool. On the website I found this fact on it, said like you definitely need to go and try and do like a wine tasting, so that's something that would be quite cool. And I'm flying to Sydney first, which is in New South Wales, so I'd be in a good place whether I go up or down to maybe do that, so that's exciting. Fraser Island is the largest sand island in the world. Yes, there's a lot of islands in Australia. Again, didn't know these things, but that also sounds, there's so many things that sound like, oh my god, you need to go and see this, but because it's such a huge place, it's going to be tricky. Indian Pacific train obviously in like zoos and stuff, maybe they will have exported animals, but 80% of the like wildlife in Australia is unique to Australia. I'm really excited to see a kangaroo and like a koala. I think I might have seen a koala in a zoo before, but I don't think it's quite the same. I'd like to see them in a sort of natural habitat, and I don't really agree with zoos anymore, as I've sort of learned more about them, so I don't think I'll be visiting any zoos in Australia if I can help it. I know this tour that I'm doing, I think one of the things might be going to the zoo, so I'm not gonna like sit outside and wait for everyone else, but it's not something that I would choose to go to myself, so I would much rather do like a wildlife tour, maybe with a local or someone that knows where you can find the animals, and obviously without disturbing them or anything like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about the animals there. So Australia also has the largest rock in the world. It is called Uluru. Uluru, I think I'm saying that right. It's 2.5 kilometres of it though is actually underground. It sits in the red centre of Australia, surrounded by scrubland, and it is actually sacred to Aboriginal tribes in the area. It is one of the few places on Earth to be listed twice as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so it is actually a cultural heritage site and a natural heritage site, and not many places are on both of those lists. Aboriginal people are thought to have arrived in Australia about 50,000 years ago. It's believed they travelled from Asia across land bridges that were exposed when the sea levels had dropped. The official name of Australia is the Commonwealth of Australia. The capital of Australia is Canberra. As when I was little, I never knew this. I always thought it was, I thought it was Sydney or Melbourne, because those are the ones you hear about. Because Canberra is actually not on the beach, so it's not somewhere that I've like thought about going for a while, but it's definitely somewhere that I would be interested in visiting, as it is the capital city. Melbourne was actually the capital of Australia for 26 years, between 1901 and 1927, before the capital moved. So that's a little interesting fact for you. The population of Australia is just under 26 million, so it's a really huge country with not as many people in it. If you think the UK has, what is it, like 60 million people roughly, the UK has, and it is so much smaller than Australia. But again, that is because some of the places in it aren't like comfortably habitable. It's just like a lot of deserts, but it's just so interesting that there's such a low population considering how large the country is. Australia is one of the largest countries on Earth, and the only country that covers an entire continent. That's interesting. So New Zealand, I think, is in the continent, right, as well, but I don't know why it's considered to cover an entire continent. I guess New Zealand's kind of small in comparison. Australia has 516 national parks to protect its unique plants and animals. I've seen some people we didn't have air travel. And if you think it takes a day to get to Australia now by plane, it must have taken weeks, months by boat. So yeah, in 1851, gold was discovered in Australia. A rush to find riches came as a result, bringing thousands of new immigrants. Sorry, my tummy is rumbling. To the country. By 1859, 6 separate colonies existed, and in 1901, these colonies joined to form the Federation of Australia. I don't know why my tummy is rumbling. I've eaten breakfast. I'm not hungry, so apologies for that. Nearly a quarter of the people who live in Australia were born in other countries. I feel like a lot of people do emigrate there. It's got such a nice, there's such a nice lifestyle there. The work-life balance seems really great. Just being able to go and enjoy the beach after work, and I feel like life in the UK is just getting worse and worse. So I can definitely see why people might be enticed by a different kind of lifestyle like that. Yeah, I would have loved to growing up by the beach and stuff, because I've always been such a water baby. I just love being in the water. As a Commonwealth of the United Kingdom, Australia's head of state is the British monarch. So the head of state is currently our Queen Elizabeth II. I think they had a referendum on this, actually. I think that might be another fact I've written down somewhere. But yeah, they had a referendum in the 90s, I think, and they decided to stay as a Commonwealth. Whether that will change again soon, I guess it's possible. I'm not really sure what the mood is over there in relation to the UK and the Queen. Australia is the driest inhabited continent of the world. So yeah, as we've said, just deserts for days. Australia is the 6th largest country in the world after Russia, Canada, the USA, China and Brazil, but is roughly the same size as the USA, just minus the states of California and Texas. So I always thought that Australia was considerably smaller than the USA, because the USA has so many states. They have 50 states, right, if I'm correct, whereas Australia only has 6 states, but these states must just be absolutely huge. But obviously, because their population is less, they probably don't need to split it up into more states. The highest mountain of Australia is Mount, let me say this, Kosciuszko. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's 2,228 meters, or 7,310 feet. This mountain is in the Great Dividing Range. Australia is the world's largest exporter of coal. Sydney is Australia's biggest city, with more than 5 million inhabitants. The national animal of Australia is the kangaroo. Very excited to see some of these, as I said before. January the 26th is the official National Day of Australia, so it's called Australia Day, but I think it does celebrate, mark the first British ships, so I don't know if there's mixed feelings about that, because obviously there were people there before. I did an essay about Australian Aboriginal culture and history at uni, and to be fair, it's been 2 years since I wrote the essay now, but I do remember some of it, and from what I remember, it doesn't seem like the British colonisers were very nice at all to the Aboriginal people, and this sort of caused a lot of I don't know what the word is, hostility. The Aboriginals wanted to just live in peace with them, but the British sort of came in all guns blazing and ruined any chances of that. So that is quite sad. I'd really like to do an Aboriginal tour when I'm there, so I'll see if that's something that I can do. The Sydney Opera House gets 10.9 million than the Great Wall of China, which kind of blows my mind. Year after year, Melbourne is consistently listed at the Global Livability Index. The city has a rating of 98.4. It attains a score of 100 in education, healthcare and infrastructure. So this means that it's basically a place that is really great to live, really amazing. And I've heard really, really great things about Melbourne, to be fair, so I feel like that's accurate. Christmas in Australia comes at the beginning of summer. The summer holidays start from mid-December to early February. I think it's going to be so weird to have like a sunny Christmas, because in the UK it's always either like rainy and wet, just cold, or cold and snowy, or just like it's always a bit miserable. It is never sunny, like that does not happen here, so that'll be quite interesting. Forest fires and bushfires are very common in Australia because of the climate, but trees in Australia can explode as eucalyptus trees produce flammable oil. So when there are forest fires or bushfires, eucalyptus trees are like burning fireworks. Yeah, I know bushfires and forest fires can be really, really dangerous. It's definitely something to be mindful of. Some of the people's vlogs I've watched on YouTube, who were like in Sydney and stuff, when there was bushfires, I remember this one girl, like she couldn't go outside for that day because the smoke was so heavy, like you really couldn't see, and it's obviously also not good for you to breathe in as well, so yeah, that's kind of scary, but I'm sure that they've got it under control, as it is something that they do have to unfortunately deal with quite a bit. 50.7 degrees Celsius is the highest temperature ever recorded in Australia, and that's 123 degrees Fahrenheit if you're American. But yeah, 50 degrees, I cannot imagine, like I would melt. I melt like 27 degrees upwards. I am like melting, honestly. Australia also experiences extremely cold weather, as we spoke about with the skiing, and their lowest ever recorded temperature is minus 23 degrees Celsius or minus 9.4 degrees Fahrenheit. That is really